After now getting over 200 views on my first video I ever uploaded to my channel, I figured I'd take another trip down memory lane today because almost half an hour of rambling just isn't long enough. So let's make it over half today and go over a few things I missed. And if you haven't already, please watch the first video before watching this one. I left a link in the description. Guys, I'll be honest with you, as optimistic as I once was about this topic, I must say my excitement has kinda waned over the past few months. But to be fair, that's to be expected from people who consider themselves futurists just in general, regardless of what the given topic is. Innovation takes time, sometimes longer than we anticipate, and I personally don't even think it'll be within 2 years, hell, maybe even 3, but it'll still come. It's for this reason I've changed my tune a bit for how I think Apple will handle this. Now, does that mean I don't think Apple will enter this market at all? Hell no. In fact, if anything, I think they already are. It just won't be in the way I originally expected it to be. I think Apple has it on their list. I just now think it's all the way to the bottom of it. One thing that definitely hasn't changed about me is that I think they'll make their own controller, probably exclusively for Apple Arcade or Apple Arcade Plus once that comes out. But one thing I definitely don't think will happen is Apple acquiring individual game publisher companies. That takes way too much work for way too little reward. And hell, to be honest with you, I don't even think they'll buy PlayStation or Nintendo or whoever either, because frankly, they really don't have to. What I think they'll do instead is throw a bone of incentives, whatever those may be, to very, very big name individual console gaming creators to make their own games on Apple Arcade. Hell, maybe even incentivize them to continue their current games on iOS, similar to what streaming services like Disney Plus did with the Marvel and Star Wars franchises. But why would the console developers come to Apple if they've already got it good enough as it is with PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo? What could Apple offer them that they don't already have? Oh, I don't know. It could be the fact that Apple makes the best-selling products in the history of the freaking world? Just a thought. Not to mention bringing Apple's gloriously simplistic ecosystem that the console gaming industry has been in such dire need of practically from day one. Good luck getting your Microsoft Xbox to seamlessly streamline your gaming experience the same way Apple's been making freaking phones from day one.
The DVD of the cable box going to the DVD play going to the cable. What, you think this is funny?
It's amusing.
There's 3 things other than just platform support that both Apple and console gaming developers could gain from this that would be in both of their favors. Market share, and most importantly, market share! I think this may actually be the reason why Apple doesn't really care a lot about it right now. Yet, they're also testing the waters with Apple Arcade. They're proceeding with caution in the inevitable event that will happen when they conquer the pro market, leaving Apple no choice but to be cornered into a wall to cater their services to gamers. And I seriously cannot think of a better time than in the early to mid 2020s. Please, the video game industry is doing just fine right now. Oh, really?
Oh, that's not so much. So?
I mean, hell, just the releases of Fallout 76 and Cyberpunk speak for themselves. We no longer live in a world where the bold creators dare to deliver us new and unique experiences for the player. We now live in a world where the player has to, literally has to, make the game for the community. And that's assuming they're not sued for it. Just take a look at how Nintendo treats their fans alone.
Excuse me?
By the way, this is a highly informative video on the topic, and I'd highly recommend watching it if you have the time. I left a link in the description. And this isn't even mentioning the disastrous launch of the PS5, which could not have been released at a worse time. For those not familiar, every game console launch has a group of people known as scalpers who would buy the consoles in bulk and resell them for twice the price, sometimes more, in hopes that the creators of said console would be out of stock, leaving people no choice but to buy the ridiculously marked up price if they didn't want to keep waiting for the console companies to restock the shelves, whenever that was. Now, the good news is that console gaming companies know this, and most have almost got it down to a science to offset the bulk amount of boxes a scalper was willing to buy from them, so even in the event that that would happen, there could still be enough available for the average Joe to pay the original fair price that was originally intended to be sold at. Well, you see, there was a little problem this time. The notorious chip shortage.
I have a question. For God. Why?
This made PlayStation have to sell only a few PS5s at a time, and it didn't help that if you wanted backwards compatibility for the old physical disc games you've collected over the years, which most gamers do, you had to shell out nearly $500 for it. Now, here's where most people would say this is where the story ends, but it also caused another problem. If the consoles were hardly ever being bought by actual gamers, and when they were, it was a fraction of the users they normally got, then at that point, what exactly was in it for the developers? If their lifeline wasn't even alive, then what exactly was the incentive in making new and unique experiences for the PS5, let alone just plain vanilla games with nothing new or unique and exciting? It was for this reason that a lot of games that were originally going to be exclusive for PS5 ended up finding a home on PS4, albeit an inferior one, but a home nonetheless. And at that point, why even buy a PS5 at all? And even if all this didn't happen and everything went according to plan, you still need a 4K TV to actually notice any substantial difference in graphics. And most people, even to this day, don't even own one. The human eye literally cannot tell the difference in visual quality past a certain resolution. So it really begs the question, when will our eventually pointless conquest in graphical performance finally be tossed aside and instead favor the much more innovative and actually worthwhile experience of value? Instead of asking what's possible in console gaming, maybe it's finally time instead we ask ourselves what's missing in console gaming. Frankly, I don't think the console bigwigs actually have the balls to explore what may ultimately be worthwhile with their investments, because at the end of the day, they know they'll get away with mediocrity disguised as innovation. All they have to do is slap their logo at the end of it and call it a day. You know, the exact same thing gamers accuse Apple users of doing.
That's what you call ironic.
As far as I'm concerned, what I see from console gaming is a sinking ship that no longer has any dying chance of repentance, and Apple Arcade is the friendly rescue boat lending them a hand. But mobile gaming has been so bullied and so associated with inferiority for so long that I just don't see people being open-minded about this, especially gamers. Not even because over half of them probably haven't even tried Apple Arcade, but because gamers are just so set in their ways with how console gaming should work. And it's quite sad, really, whenever the same people who rightfully criticize everything wrong with the AAA gaming industry and praise the little guys still keeping the indie game genre alive can't even be bothered to try out a 3-month free trial to Apple Arcade, because in their mind, I guess that would mean admitting defeat? I guess? They're all about customization, which Apple I guess doesn't have enough of yet, even though that has almost quite literally nothing to actually do with gaming itself. Hardcore gamers are the Ford F-150 truck drivers of the tech world. There is no sugarcoating that. They're more concerned about the size of their PC build than actually enjoying playing video games themselves. As I've already said before, at some point the human eye can't see past a certain resolution, and it wouldn't even shock me in the slightest if these guys genuinely at heart can't even tell a difference anymore, but are just simply unwilling to admit that. Maybe I just need to buy a game.
I swear to f***ing Christ, if one more f***ing
gamer
tells me to
buy a gaming PC,
I'm going to descend to a never-before-seen depth of my own personal downward mental spiral. Seriously, people, enough is enough. Enough is f***ing enough.